The disastrous mouth strangled Meghan and Harry. Biggest mistake post-megxit exposed. A royal source is claiming that the biggest mistake of Meghan and Harry's is it said they worked too hard to tell people they were the good guys. After Megxit, they launched a whole publicity campaign that was supposed to convince everybody that they were the good guys, and other people like Britain and the royal family were the bad guys. But the thing is, if they really believed that, they wouldn't want or even need a PR campaign to establish that. They would have maintained a dignified silence and they would have just waited for the truth to finally be exposed. But instead, they wanted to get on the front foot and they wanted to control the narrative, which was an act of cowardice because they knew the royal family was not going to fight back. But it backfired big time because they were wrong about the royal family not being able to fight back. So the episode resulted in what may go down as history's most brutal put-down ever, and from none other than the late queen herself when she said recollections may vary. And most people understood the subliminal message behind that campaign, which was, we are the bad guys and we know it, we're just trying to trick all of you. Now people have watched politicians try the same trick so many times, and it never works. Also related to this is Harry's apparent belief that the more he publicly tells the world how miserable he is, the more likely his family is going to feel sorry for him and finally reach out. He keeps on saying the ball's in their court. And then after publishing that ridiculous book Spare, he told an interviewer that he had done his part and now it's all their responsibility. I mean, how dumb, how tone deaf does one need to be to actually believe that's going to work? Harry was telling so many of his family's secrets while also slamming Paul Burrell for doing exactly the same thing, talking about his penis. Why did he think anybody wanted to know about that? He publicly admitted to taking some dangerous drugs. He bragged about killing 25 members of the Taliban, and he insulted his own father's wife. But he really expected that his father and brother would come running and say, "Oh, poor Harry, we feel so bad for what we've done to you." And then he tried it again with that absurd car chase story, whining afterward about how upset he was that neither his father nor brother had been in touch to check on him to make sure he was okay. Apparently, that little stunt didn't go down very well with William. He thought it was a cheap trick to use the circumstances of their late mother's death to get sympathy and attention. So it looks like that paparazzi car chase scenario was the final nail in the coffin. The whole thing reminds me of some kind of comedy plotline. But unfortunately, usually comedies are supposed to be funny. They're supposed to just make people laugh. And you know what? Meghan and Harry's antics are supposed to make us feel sorry for them. What is wrong with them? How could we forget that Meghan and Harry proclaimed to the entire world that they just wanted to be left alone? They wanted to be treated like ordinary people. They didn't want to get so much harassment from the press and other media outlets. And then they have done everything they can to get their faces back in the headlines. When the media stops paying attention to them for a few weeks, oh, they do whatever they can to get that attention again. Then they have the nerve to whine about losing those titles or the kids not being recognized. Honestly, how do they think they can tell the entire world that they want to be left alone and then turn around and complain when exactly that happens? Both parties believe that their elevated status is going to get them everything they wanted, but it doesn't work like that. They have not shown any particular talent, they don't have any special abilities, and most people, both in the UK and in the US, don't like to see family members on both sides being thrown under the bus and attacked for no good reason. But the bright side of all this is that those fortunate people in the world who have never experienced narcissistic abuse are getting to understand what it's like. Maybe everybody can see and understand now what it looks like. The two of them are trying to gaslight the whole world. I can only hope that this whole debacle is going to spur some research and offer understanding and help to people who are suffering from personality disorders as well as their victims. People all over the world need to understand that Meghan was a nobody in the US before her name started showing up around Harry. Now, yes, she is from the US, but we don't want to claim her. Now, initially, I was excited for the couple. I was hoping for the best. I was getting up early to watch their wedding. But then the truth came out, and boy, was it ugly. I started learning about her horrible personality, how hateful she is, all the lies they've told, and how manipulative she is, too. It was also confirmed that he never even got consent from that woman he lost his virginity to. She was only a couple of years older than him anyway, and apparently she was absolutely mortified when all that stuff came out. She was trying to keep it all quiet. She never wanted to sell her story to the papers, and that was classy of her considering the tabloids would have paid her a lot of money for that story at the time. But no, she viewed Harry as a friend, and it was simply a drunken mistake, so she didn't want to tell anybody about it. But then Harry beat her to the chase, and he told everybody. He released that story in his so-called book, and then they demanded an apology for goodness knows what. Leads me to believe that maybe the rumors are true. Maybe the Queen really did have them kicked out of the UK. Harry was love-bombed by the most malignant narcissist that got her claws in him using sex as her initial weapon. Harry never knew what hit him, and as it has been reported, that whole week when she arrived at Frogmore with the two of them not coming out for a week, so along comes an unannounced engagement, followed by this rushed wedding. Her manipulative side is clearly coming out, and Harry didn't see it. But Harry is somebody who doesn't think very well with the brain in his head, more like what's in his pants. He has been bewitched. He believes that he landed himself a trophy wife who loves him just the way he is. And that's when the dance of future doom really started. So once Meghan knew that she had Harry, just like any narcissist, that's when she started the devaluation stage. And it was so subtle by her manipulative, calculated behavior, setting the stage to finally break away from the royal family, convincing Harry that it was the right thing to do, it was what they had to do, using disparaging remarks and made-up untrue stories against his own family, really soaking his mind in alienating behaviors. And Harry fell for her little tricks, because after all, she loves him. She's his real golden girl. Well, Meghan Markle promised A-list Hollywood status. She promised they were going to go to all the best parties and galas, that because they were the Duke and Duchess, everybody would want to be friends with them. And that's another one of her made-up BS stories, having him believe that he would be in the star-studded cliques immediately upon their arrival in Montecito. Well, slowly but surely, the house of cards began to fall apart, as Meghan's grifting, lying, shady ways have come out. As she realized that he didn't have the level of wealth that she wanted him to, his usefulness to her has obviously been thrown away. She has devalued him, she's thrown him out, and no doubt she's coming up with some plans that have not included him. Only time will tell, but this is going to be a nasty divorce. Harry is lost, and Meghan is busy studying and targeting her next victim, an ultra-wealthy victim, make no mistake, to support her. Overall, this has been such a disaster for the both of them. It's a catalog of almost unbelievable narcissism and stupidity, and at this point, most people can see right through it. Meanwhile, the royal family could not have done a better job of staying classy and graceful while under pressure from the two of them. I mean, I have always said those two losers are the height of hypocrisy, and they are con artists. Well, at least Meghan's a con artist, and Harry's just the idiot who cannot see through her little games. I mean, and for Harry, the thing I can't get over is just the hypocrisy. He has spent most of his adult life whining about press intrusion into his private life, and since he married Meghan, he's really doubled down on that whining. So then what does he turn around and do? Well, he sells his private life for money, and the private lives of his family too, which is a pretty horrible thing to do. Harry has turned public intrusion into his private life and his family's into a career. Whining about the very thing you then turn around and sell for money doesn't look good. Before he met Meghan, I thought that he just came across as a bit dumb, but still harmless and overall probably a nice guy. But now he comes across as an absolute jerk. And you, what do you think about Harry and Meghan? Please continue to discuss them with us below in the comments. Don't be afraid to like and share my video with anybody else who needs it anytime you want. And don't be afraid to click the subscribe button to get more updates in the future. Thank you so much for tuning in, have a lovely weekend, and we'll be back to see you all tomorrow.